if there's one thing the Liberal Party loves, it's random extremist terrorist groups, like the Khalistani movement. Now, the Khalistani movement, quick side note, is a sort of extremist Sikh separatist movement within India. Now, it's not supported by the majority of Sikhs in Canada. It's not supported by the majority of Sikhs in India. But there's a small faction, a very loud faction, a very powerful faction in Canada that is pushing the Khalistani movement. Now, the Khalistani movement is mostly backed by Pakistan, because Pakistan is using it as an indirect method to bash India. So there was an article out yesterday that you saw on the page, but a Liberal MP, in a Punjabi language interview, came out and said this. He came out and said that the Liberal government is pandering to Sikh separatists. And that is true. They are. And now he would say, and I actually agree with this, it's not Justin Trudeau's fault. Justin Trudeau doesn't know anything about this. It's mostly the Sikh MPs and cabinet ministers. These are people like Raj Gurwal. The Indian government also is not a fan of Defense Minister Harjit Singh. Nadi Bains is also not on their nice list. All these people are pushing a Khalistani ideology. Now, Raj Gurwal, we've talked about him. He was the MP with massive gambling debt that just disappeared overnight. And also his uncle's on video in Pakistan, holding an AK-47, talking about committing terrorist attacks against India. Hey, news media. Hey, yeah, you. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Toronto Star reporter looking for ways to slander me. Okay. You know there's a video of one of our MP's uncles talking about how he wants to do terrorist attacks against India, and he's from Canada. He also had massive gambling that disappeared. Do you want to follow up on that? That could be a big story. You could even win a Pulitzer Prize. No one else is reporting it. Go for it. I mean, I reported it, but like, who am I, honestly? Go for it. You got a story. Stop trying to slander me, and go after the Khalistani movement. You could be a big hit. Maybe India will like us again. But no. So Justin Trudeau said he supports a united India. Most Sikhs support a united India. India supports a united India. But this is the reason why India hates us. It has nothing to do with him dancing around like a fool. Although he did dance around like a fool and make a fool of himself in our country. Oh, that India trip. The real reason India hates Canada is because we are now the home of the Khalistani movement. It's because we have politicians pushing the Khalistani agenda within our parliament. All right? So a bit of background on the Khalistani movement. Now, the Khalistani movement, it wants a country formed out of India called Khalistan, which would be a Sikh religious, homeland. And the movement goes back to the 1940s. You can understand how the British had sort of said, they divide the Muslims and the Hindus and the Sikhs and the Jews, right? They divide everyone up and they deal with the groups separately. So you had a bunch of Sikh groups in the 1940s have a fear over a Islamist Pakistan, which has been not friendly to the Sikhs, forced conversions and genocide. And the Hindu, they wanted their own state. Now they were mostly fine in India. And then around the 1970s, the movement started to take off. It was mostly defeated in the early 80s. Now in 1984, there was Operation Blue Star. This is what the Khalistanis will point to as the massacre of Sikhs, and this is what they big push. So to give context of the massacre of Sikhs or Operation Blue Star, before this, the militant group that they were attacking, I can't pronounce all these names, but they had killed just over 200 people. 39 of those people had been Sikh. Right, there was a massacre. It was, Cali Extreme. So you have a terrorist organization operating within India. They killed 200 people. 39 of them are Sikh. Then the Indian army has to do something. They're holed up in a hotel. They've taken hostages. They realize they have to fight this. The people are going to die. There are Sikh officers in the Indian military at this point. Right, there are Sikhs in this committing the Sikh massacre. So it's a lot more complicated than you think. India has had Sikh prime ministers, so India is not oppressive to the Sikhs. But then in this, there are 493 casualties in the militants and civilians combined because it's inside a hotel. They're using human shields. This was then used as the rallying cry to push more extremism. Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi is assassinated by 2 of her Sikh bodyguards. And this is sort of the genesis of the Khalistani movement. The next year, 1985, is the Air India bombing. This is the worst terrorist attack in Canadian history. 280 Canadians are killed in the Air India bombing. This was done by a Khalistani extremist group, Badar Kasala. I probably butchered that name because my tongue is white. But this is sort of what you need to know. This is why India really, really doesn't like the Khalistani movement, because it advocates for terrorism within India. And most countries, India included as a country, don't like terrorism in their country. It's bad news bears. It's bad for business. It's also bad for people not being murdered. But Canada is now the home of the Khalistani movement, right? We have so many Khalistani supporters. Like Brampton politics is Patrick Brown's now a pawn of the Khalistanis. But Patrick Brown, bleh. But this is why India hates us. And Jasper Atwal, the terrorist Trudeau met with, is a Khalistani terrorist, who tried to assassinate an Indian minister in Canada when he came, convicted and then let off on a technicality. He was invited to Trudeau's party in India. So when Justin Trudeau puts his arm around a Khalistani assassin in India, what do you think the Indian government's going to have to say about it? And then when Gerald Butts goes and blames India for Justin Trudeau inviting a terrorist to India, come on. Come on. So this is why countries hate us. It's not because Justin Trudeau's a fool, although he's an abject fool. It's because he's a fool who enables terrorism. The man loves him some terrorism.